Chris getting 10 rebounds in that opener after getting 10 in the exhibition. How important is that, his rebounding going to be to this roster and this group?
Yeah, he's probably been um, our most consistent rebounder. It's the other areas that he's trying to get comfortable with and playing with new teammates, new system, all of that. But his rebounding has certainly been a bright spot.
Thank you, Chris. We'll go to Greg Bailey with KTRK TV. Greg, please go ahead, sir.
Kelvin, good morning. Along those lines, I'm just wondering about, your freshmen, your newcomers to the program. You've had them for a number of months, kind of introducing standards and expectations and those things. How valuable is every minute of game action for those players to kind of see it in action and perhaps to see the upperclassmen and team leaders kind of put those things to practice?
Well, we didn't have Isaiah from June through August, so it's probably the middle of September before he was healthy enough, and that's from the injury he had 18 months ago, and he probably came back too soon, and that created another situation. So we just had to be patient with him. I think we have three guys that are kind of way behind that are catching up, and that would be Isaiah, JoJo, and Khalifa. And Khalifa had back surgery. Um, and I think he might have tweaked it or something the other day. Um, yeah, I think all the experiences right now, good or bad, are all good. It's important for them to make mistakes. Um, we basketball is a very imperfect game. Um, a lot of people think you should be perfect. Like, why aren't we making more free throws? Why aren't we getting more rebounds? How come our defense isn't better? How come our offense isn't better? Because we're not perfect. It's it's about just getting better. That's the focus. I don't chase perfection. I chase progress. Progress is what we're looking for. And as the months go by and you keep progressing, you're probably going to be kind of where you want to be. But right now it's progress, and a lot of times you may take a step back because something happened that I hadn't seen, and I wasn't in the right place at the right time. My communication was late. That's what this is all about. So um, I thought yesterday, I thought yesterday was a step forward for certain guys, but my advice to our freshmen, like every freshman ever coached, is just keep showing up every day with the right attitude. Um, uh, Come from a position of humility. Guys that aren't humble think they know everything. You know, you can just tell by their attitude, um, the entitlement. But we don't have those kind of people in this program. Um, just keep progressing. Um, if one's the bottom and 100's the top, you're not going to go from 1 to 100 in November or December. And some teams never get to it, but you're always striving. You're always working. You're always coming up with different ideas on how to help this kid or that kid because they all don't learn at the same pace. They don't look at the game the same way. But as a coach who's behind the scenes doing all the stuff to help them, and we put it out there, and you guys tell everybody what we're doing when really you have no idea what we're doing. That's all these guys have. So um, I'm proud of them. I've been hard on these freshmen for different reasons, but they're all going to be good players. I think we're going to be a good team eventually. Um, uh, Teams in November live by one rule. Make sure you guys understand this. They're never as good as you think they are, and they're never as bad as you think they are.
Thank you, Greg. We'll go back to Chris Baldwin, please. Chris, go ahead.
Calvin, the play where Ramon, dove into the photographers and then got back in time to get the offensive rebound. What does his kind of energy and plays like that do for the rest of this group and show
Yeah,
them?
I'm still trying to figure out roles and who can play here and who can play there, and making sure everybody. I wish I could play everybody 40 minutes, and then I wouldn't get asked why didn't this guy play. Well, it might be because the other guy needed to play, or the other guy's playing great, and in practice this guy had a great practice, so I'm rewarding him, and maybe this guy didn't practice so well, so you got to earn it. I mean, there's always a reason why I do what I do. And it's usually the right decision because I'm with them every day. But we've got to carve a role out for Ramon because of that, Chris. Um, young teams don't have guys like that, especially talent guys. Talent guys don't play the game like Ramon, and Ramon doesn't play the game like them. But somehow there's a way to fit them all together, and that's what these practices are for. At some point, practice can become counterproductive. We need to play somebody to see how it all works and make your mistakes. Our defense numbers are way better the other night than we played. I didn't think we played very good on defense. I didn't think we played very good on offense, but I understand why, and I'd like to think I know how to fix it. At least the record says I do. So we'll see.
Thank you, Chris. We'll go to Chancellor Johnson next, please. Chancellor, go ahead.
Thanks, Kelvin. A little bit of a off the court question. I saw that UNCP is honoring your father. For you, and for somebody like myself who didn't get a chance to know him, what do you want people to know about him? And to see him get that honor, even this many years later, what does that mean to you as you personally?
Best question, not just for you, Chancellor, because you can go off the rails sometime, but the best question I've been asked in 12 years. So, my hero growing up was my dad, and I'm not going to repeat everything that I always say, but so I was a good high school player, point guard, point guard, and could score, um, could really shoot, do all that stuff when I was young, but I could never ever outshoot my father, and I could shoot. Um, um, I'm not talking about Steph Curry here. I'm talking about pretty good for the early 70s. He left me open. I could make a shot. Wasn't a great player, none of that. But so my father's, I think, 30 years older than I am. I was born in 55. He was born in 29, so 26 years older. Um, but when I played in high school, we didn't have glass backboards. We had wood backboards, and um, so he came along at a time when he perfected a hook shot. They didn't shoot jump hooks back then, like we don't shoot most kids. Pete Carrill's center seemed like always had the best hook shot in the country. Kareem's was different. His release point was probably about 9-7. He'd shoot down in the basket most of the time, but he could shoot a roll hook. That's what he called it, from the left block going to his left shoulder with his right hand. He could do the same thing on the left block going to his right shoulder with his left hand, and first vice versa, going left shooting with his right hand. But he could do it at the elbows. He could shoot that hook shot at the elbows. And most of you guys are thinking about that and says that's not even possible. That's the way they played back then. Most guys shot a two-hand set shot, but he always shot a one-hand set shot. The first time I went to Stanford, Maples Pavilion, there's a bronze statue out there of this guy named Hank Lucetti. Some of you guys will remember him, but they say he's the father of the one-hand jump shot. And when I saw that, I said, that's exactly the way my father shot. And he was an elite shooter. I think I played him in horse 100 times. I don't think I ever beat him until he got old. And he couldn't shoot his hook shot anymore. And then he wasn't fun because I couldn't beat him when he was good. I could beat Kellen in horse for a long time. Now he beats me, but I could never beat my dad. But he came along at a time with segregation. Remember, 1954 court case, Brown versus the Board of Education with Thurgood Marshall was the groundbreaking segregation rule that started everything. Well, he graduated in 1953. So when I say segregation, I mean you stay with yours, you stay with yours, and you stay with yours, and you're not allowed to interact. That's what the biggest nonsense was separate but equal. But I don't want to get into that because I lived it until about 68. Charlie Scott was the first African American player ever at University of North Carolina. That's when they had sit-ins and all the ignorance came out of people and all that stuff. But my dad lived in that era. He played in that era, and the problem with records is most of the records had to be written. They couldn't be recorded. So there was every year in the spring in the state of North Carolina, the ACC schools would barnstorm to make money in the spring. They'll play the smaller colleges. And I'm going to tell you this story and then I'll stop. But back in the early 50s, the star guard for Duke was a guy by the name of Dick Groat, Groat. Played baseball and basketball at Duke. And so they went barnstorming and they go to Pembroke and play Pembroke State College. And in my father's senior yearbook, and I still have it, is a quote from Dick Groat saying, I just number whatever my father's number was. I don't remember if he said his name or not, but he said he's the greatest shooter he had ever seen. And he was talking about my father. And this guy played in the ACC. So they took that quote and put it in the yearbook. And I don't know how they found the records. I think he had 40 some points in that game, but he averaged 24 his senior year. But we advocate for recognition for those that have no voice. And when I was growing up, every one of my father's friends would say the greatest basketball player they'd ever seen was my dad. I don't even know if he played in front of crowds back then. This was in the early 50s. But he had his college coach was from Philadelphia. I'll remember his name here in a minute, but my dad talked about him a lot. And he said, I'm going to get you a tryout with the Philadelphia Warriors. So my dad asked his father, my grandfather, who died, I think, in 1971 when I was, or 70 when I was 15 years old. He was born in 1897. It's crazy, isn't it? He was born in 1897. When he died when he was 73 in 1970. But he borrowed his truck and drove from Pembroke, which I'm sure was a culture shock for him to drive that far for a tryout with an NBA team, which is unheard of back then. But he did it, and he had some kind of injury with his foot, and didn't make it. But the fact that he had an opportunity, it was rare. And you think about the players that probably were better than him that never got an opportunity because of the color of their skin and the rules of the nation at the time. Um, but I'm proud that his era is being represented, and I'm proud of him and my mother for everything they had to fight for at a time when that's the only way you could live your life is to fight. Um, and for him to have this is going to be awesome. It's going to be in April. I don't know the date yet. We haven't said it, but I'm looking forward to going back. Um, Most of the players that he coached in high school for his 30 plus years, a lot of them have passed away now because of how long it's gone, but a lot of them, um, a lot of them are still here. Their children are here, and they tell stories back there about my dad and the uh, impact that he had on their lives. And so it's going to be a great celebration. It's going to be a celebration about him, but it's also going to be about his era. And we have to fight for history sometime. We can't let history fail. Um, what happened in the 1900s to the people from the 1900s is no different, or the importance of those times to them is no different than the importance of our times we currently live in. It's just a different time. But that time was significant because it was part of the growth of our nation. And having been um, a minority student athlete at that time from a minority college, this has given voice. This has given voice to a lot of people that was never recognized. So I love it when I hear stories about Coach McClendon and Big House Gaines. I remember going on a Converse basketball trip when I was a really young coach at Washington State. And I sat down and talked to Coach Big House Gaines and his wife, Claire. And we just talked and talked and talked. He found out I was down the road. He's in Winston-Salem. I was down the road in Pembroke. And his wife was such a classy, elegant lady. And then Coach McClendon and the stories about him. He was a very humble man, and you can see where their greatness came from. But that's all. That's also where my father's greatness came from, because I always thought his greatest ability was how humble he was, his humility. Other people had to tell his story because he never would. Well, this is an opportunity for him to be recognized when um, um, during his lifetime he never was. But being able to be recognized doesn't have a timeline. A lot of the stories we found out from our heroes of the past, just because we don't have enough information to document what they have, and some people have this steadfast rules about documentation. But I want to thank um, Dick Christie, the AD, Dr. Robin Cummins, the chancellor, my baseball coach in high school, Ronnie Chavis, um, Ray Brayboy, uh, guys that worked behind the scene tirelessly to find any information they could from that era. And they searched and searched and searched and searched. Then they finally found enough documentation. And it was a thrill for me to get the information, because there's a lot of the things I didn't know about. So um, when I heard about it, obviously I was honored for him, but also my mother. They were married for over 60 years, and they were tremendous role models for my three sisters and myself. And um, I'm looking forward to going back and seeing him get this honor and listen to all the people that impacted him. I'm really excited to hear the stories. I just sit there and listen about that. So looking forward to it. But I appreciate you asking that question, Chancellor.
Thank you, Chancellor. We'll go to Kenneth Bowman from Coug TV. Kenneth, please go ahead.
Good morning, Coach. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You're coming off your 800th win, but Matthew Mitchell got his first one after a 5-year hiatus. Just what was your reactions on that? And did you speak to him after the game?
No, I see him in the building, but been really impressed with Coach Mitchell. He's got a great staff. Um, I know what it's like to be in your first year here. Of course, his first year is different than mine because he's got this beautiful building to move into, which I think will accelerate his recruiting and ability to get this thing going. This should be a great basketball school for men and women for a lot of reasons. But being the head women's coach at University of Houston is a really, really good job. So it wouldn't surprise me that he came in and got things going quickly.
Thank you, Kenneth. We'll go to Chris Baldwin, please. Chris, do you have a question? Hang on just a second. Is it Chris?
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I
Chris.
do. I do. Calvin, with the new coaches challenge role, who do you have monitoring that those replays and
Matt,
how,
for
how
us,
he's
for us, he has an iPad with the game in real time with the ability to hit rewind and go over to play. I was watching Duke in Texas the other night, and I think the Duke player actually played against us last year. I can't remember his name. Brown, maybe. Big kid, good player, smart kid. There's a play on the far baseline, second half, and the ball went out of bounds. I couldn't tell who hit it out of bounds, but he automatically did what all the NBA guys did. He just looked down at John and and circled his fingers, twirled his fingers around, which meant let's go to the replay because the referee got it wrong. And so automatically, John looked at whoever his Matt McDonald is and said, "Look at that." And the guy, I mean, obviously they made a bad call, bad decision on that because it didn't work out, so they lost a timeout. So for me, and I've thought through this. Actually, we've kind of worked on it a little bit. I almost threw the flag the other night at Mississippi State, but in my mind, I was wrong. It could have went anyway, either way, but I felt like the ball went off us. But I very rarely, I don't think I would use it much in the first half. Because of this challenge, the referees can't automatically go to the monitor in the last 2 minutes. Think about the out of bounds play against Purdue when we drew up the out of bounds play that won the game. They had to go to the monitor to declare that the ball was ours. Let's say that they couldn't go to the monitor and they called the ball. They had given the ball on that play to Purdue. Well, if I didn't have a challenge, we'd have to take his word for it. So I think in the last 2 minutes is when most coaches, I would think, would use their challenge. I don't think I'm going to be using it on some nondescript play in the first half, although there are no nondescript plays. But you get what I'm saying. You kind of want to keep it in your back pocket just in case in the last 2 minutes there's a call that could go either way, but it went against you. So, you challenge it and hopefully your challenge goes your way. If it does go your way, you don't lose your timeout. So those are two big reasons why and when I've thought through this challenge thing.
We'll go back to Chris Baldwin for the final question today, please. Chris, go ahead.
Calvin, Cordell, being one of the early subs for you, is that you talked about, practice? Did he earn that, for
Yes.
how he practiced and
Yeah, yeah. I don't think you have any credibility as a coach unless practice matters. Practice matters. I mean, you got an opportunity to help yourself in practice. And Cordell had a great week of practice. We got some other guys having great weeks of practice this week that I'm going to reward. But every day is a competition. We're competing every day. We're trying to get better as individual players, position players, team players, your team. And there's certain guys that stand out to me by giving maximum effort and embracing pain, embracing hard. Um, it's hard to win a game. You know, people ask about the Final Four. Do you have any idea how hard it is to make the tournament? Look at the teams that never make the tournament, and we've already assumed that that's a given. Uh, well, I'm not a fan, and I'm not a commentator who has the luxury of looking ahead. The only thing that matters to me is today's practice. Hopefully, get better so we can win the next game. That's the world I live in, and the kids that put forth maximum effort and get through adversity in practice with the right attitude and the right effort. Those are the guys I like to reward. So just because you've been here, done this or done that, I think I've earned this. Well, that's you don't get to decide that. I do.